Okay. Joe, thank you very much for coming in.
It's a pleasure, Jonathan.
Now, I understand from chatting to you before that you served 46 or just over 46 years.
46 and a half years. The 3rd of March, 1970, started here.
Okay, okay. That's an incredible amount of service. And I'm sure during that time you witnessed some big changes in the industry. So really, just getting started, take me back to the beginning. Like, how did you first come to work for the Ulster Herald?
It's a pretty, I suppose, unique story in ways. After I left school, I was a plumber, and the troubles were at their height at the time, and one of the lads that I was at the plumbing with got himself into a bit of bother, blowing up a piling out the road. And but at that time we were doing a job for the foreman of the Herald here, Michael Hunter.
Yeah.
And I had only about a year or a little more done at the plumbing, and I didn't know what my next move was.
Okay.
And I happened to say to Michael about telling him the story, and he says, "Joe, there may be a job coming in the Herald." And lo and behold, maybe 2 weeks later, I got a call from, we called him Mickey.
Yeah.
I got a call from him to see would I come in for an interview. And the interview took place, and it was L.D. Lynch, then Austin's father.
Okay.
And it was I nearly started right away.
Yeah.
And the rest really is history, Jonathan. And that was in 1970, and I come in here, and
what was the date again?
The 3rd of March.
3rd of March.
3rd of March, 1970, and I was basically then in the machine end of it, because there was a lot of stationery going out to the various business premises in the towns, garages, bookie shops as well.
Yeah.
Was very big. Cinemas, the dance bands were there. They needed posters for the various venues, carnivals. Father Shields was the parish priest here at the time, and he was a great man at raising money to build the various schools, i.e. St. Bridget's, St. Pat's, and the Brothers, and what have you. And raffle tickets were a very big thing then as well. So you were kept busy at that.
It sounds like it. Just going back to whenever you were growing up, the Ulster Herald, was that always, did your family get it every week? What are your first memories of the Herald, and can you remember when you were first in the Herald yourself?
It's funny you should mention that, Jonathan. As a child, there was 2 doctors had a practice across the street from the old building. Doctors McMullen and O'Neill, and I would have been in there with my mother from time to time with various whatever ailments that I had then. And this time of the year, the windows of the surgery would have been open, and I'd have been sitting in the waiting room and looking across the street, and I could hear this unique noise, the clattering of the linotypes that were up the stairs. And I often wondered what was actually taking place in there. I couldn't envisage what their role was, rather.
Yeah.
And it's funny that I should finish up in that establishment in later years.
Almost like it was fate.
That's right. That's right.
So this was 1970. Whenever you first started.
That's right.
What was your very first role? Within the
My very first role was in the machine room. You had various machines in there. You had two fairly modern Heidelbergs in there. There was the Heidelberg Platen and there was the Heidelberg Flatbed, but there was also some very ancient printing machines in there,
yeah.
i.e. the Arab. And if health and safety was around today, Jonathan, it would be totally closed down because it was like a jaw opening and closing, but the memorial cards, etc., were printed on it.
Okay.
And you had to set one in very quickly, and it printed, and then it opened again. You had to pull that out, and before it closed again, you had to put another one in.
Oh wow! So you had to get your timing.
Yeah, you had to get the time. You had to get the timing spot on. So there was there was the old flatbeds. Two of them. One of them was you don't hear these paper sizes now. Double Demai, double crown, things like that. I mean the European sizes, your A4s or what have you, started to creep in shortly, A3s. But back then it was quarto. Foolscap was a big one as well, and double to my quarto. Yeah.
Okay.
And we were able to, they had in that machine room, they had a very good guillotine. Possibly, I would say, one of the better ones outside Belfast.
Okay.
But whenever you were cutting your paper, the the measurements in it was all imperial. So you worked on imperial measures. Sweet.
Okay. And so you coming into it for the first time. Can you kind of describe the sights, the sounds, the smells of the place?
The smells is right, because ink itself had a unique smell, but after the day's printing on the various machines, they had to be washed in the evening before the next morning, because if you didn't, the ink would dry in them. And it was common to go over John Street into James Street. There was a garage down there called John McGill's, and you went over there with your gallon drum and you filled it full of petrol and you brought it back, and that's what the machines were washed with. And up above your head was the comp room, and I mean, an old building, and it was a wooden floor as well, into the bargain. Now, Jonathan, how there was never an accident, I will never know.
So, can I just get you right when you're saying it was petrol that the machines were washed?
It was petrol. It was petrol. It's amazing. I mean, in later years that changed. So it did. You got special solvents then, which were inflammable to a point, but not near as explosive as petrol was. But I mean, that's the way it was then.
And did you not? Did anyone not stop and think, well, is this a really good idea?
It was fashionable then for everybody to smoke cigarettes.
Yes.
And throw the butt down.
Yeah.
But I have never heard that there was any fires took place. If there was, I would have heard about it. But that's the way it was then.
Okay.
So everything had to be cleaned up in the evening, ready for the next morning again. And even the material that was locked up in the chases for posters, etc., that all had to be cleaned off as well and put back in its various place in the comp room.
And from what you were saying, the progress, it wasn't just the newspapers or the newspaper. There was a lot more to the work.
There was, yeah. I mean, the stationery was a big thing then. The stationery, and then whenever the newspaper had to be printed then. Whenever that come about, you went from the machine room into where the press was, and there was what they call a cosser press in there, a twin cosser, and 16 pages broadsheet was the maximum
Okay.
that could do, which is equates to 32 pages tabloid now. But that was the maximum size. But at Christmas time, they also had a winder on the back of that twin cosser, and they were able to pre-print material onto the winder, and it winded the web, as they called it then, the web back onto a big spool, similar.
Yeah.
And then whenever it come to printing the main paper around Christmas time, instead of 16 pages, you had 20 pages, which equates to 40 pages tabloid. But we thought that massive then.
Yeah.
I mean, big paper, and how are we going to handle it, get it out, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So the press then was only capable of doing a couple of thousand copies an hour, and the circulation then could have been around about 10,000 or something like that, Jonathan.
Yeah.
So we done upwards on half the Herald on the Wednesday night, and the rest of it was done on the Thursday morning. The reason why half of it was printed off on the Wednesday night was that for distribution, the buses were a big help there, because they went to places like Carrickmore, Sixmilk Cross, Dromore, Gorton, and what have you. So they had an arrangement here with it would have been the UTA then. They had an arrangement then with them to get the various papers delivered and dropped off at a central point in some village. Then the shop owners came along and picked up their papers. That's the way it was.
Obviously, print newspapers, it was a school job. Who taught you the trade, and what was it like with them?
Well, the letterpress printing, unlike what we changed over to in later years, letterpress printing was a very simple process. I mean, it was just ink rollers going over a typeface, and the image then pressed on, and as I say, it was fairly simple. I actually quite liked it because I always had a mechanical aptitude for machinery, journals, and what have you. And listen, I had no problem learning the trade as such. And the pressman then was the name of Tommy Logue. And Tommy came in here in the mornings. He had his nice coat on him, shirt and tie. And that was his job. He did nothing else, only look after the cosser. That was his job. So after the papers would have been printed, I would have went back into what we call the machine room then, and continued on whatever I was doing that day.
Okay.
So,
and I understand that after you had learned your trade, you actually left the Herald for a brief time.
I did, yeah. I did, of course. You see, litho web offset was introduced in 1973, and we were changing over from letterpress to litho, and the two systems were totally different, because the litho was photographic, and it was a water and ink process as well, and you had to create a good balance there, and we got very little training, really. A German came in 1973, and he installed the press, and before he left he gave us a crash course, but we couldn't understand half time what he was saying. And, but listen, there was myself and Brendan Drum. We had the job of getting that up and running, and I have to say, Jonathan, it wasn't easy at the beginning, because we had no prior knowledge, no training of how to how this all works, but we got there eventually. And yes, I left here for about 8 months. Went to the education board, and I enjoyed my time out there, I have to say. But I missed here.
Yeah.
I missed the Herald. And being a farmer's son, I was out working at hay one 12th of July.
Okay.
Tractor, no shirt on me, and bit of a hay rake on behind, and enjoying myself. And my late father came down into the line field, and he says, "Joe, Mickey Hunter wants you to give him a ring." So I left and went up. We just had a phone a short time then, or a landline, and came back up and phoned Mickey. And this was a Wednesday morning, and the parades were in Oma as well.
Yeah.
And Mickey asked me would I come in, and says, "Why?" He says, "We have jammed the folder and we can't get it up and running again."
Yeah.
And he says, "I'm thinking of putting it on fire to burn, to burn the jam out of it." So I came in, I did, and the bands were up and down the street, and I had a bit of bother getting in here, but I did, and they were printing the Fermanagh Herald that morning, and I came in, and they had the folder jammed to the. But anyway, it took me couple of hours, and I got the thing up and running again. And listen, Mickey then said to me, would I think about coming back? And maybe.
Yeah.
And the late Austin Lynch himself came out to the house to see me, and we agreed terms, and I came back, and sure.
What year would that be?
That would have been about 1978.
Okay.
It's 78, 1978.
Yeah. And then from 1978 on, that was you back?
That was me back. That it wasn't hard to come back because I knew everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't hard for me. It wasn't like going into a strange place. It was fairly simple. And,
yeah. You know, in terms of the characters here, you know, who are some of the people that you would remember fondly from?
Well, you know, the Herald was a very unique place to work. It was more of an institution, Jonathan, because you got to know every member of staff, you got to know their wives, you got to know their families, so it was pretty kind of an intimate thing, really. And that's what I liked about it, but it had its characters. We mentioned Michael Hunter there. Well, he was the character. Like there was nobody better than him that coming out with the one-liners and what have you.
Yeah.
He was the character. I'm quite sure you have heard some stories as well.
Yeah. But you know, others over the years.
Yeah. Well. In 1974, you had the Ulster Workers' Council strike and power cuts, you see. And that affected us, or the Herald here, greatly then, because those linotype machines, they depended on the hot metal.
Yeah.
So they did. There was a metal pot on the side of them, molten metal inside. And once the power went off, it went hard. Yeah. And for them to get up and running again, whenever the power come on, they just couldn't go instantly and start to work them again. They could have to wait an hour and a half before they come up to temperature again. So that did affect us greatly then. So we were really in standby to come in at all hours, if need be, to get the papers on the street. Now that was a very interesting time as well here.
I would say you've seen quite a few interesting times.
Yes,
as
absolutely.
well.
Absolutely.
You know, just over the years, like you know, were there any kind of special editions that kind of stand out because you know they were particularly difficult or memorable to produce?
Well, I mean, the special editions, Bloody Sunday, we done a special edition front page of the Herald with a black border around the front page. The Oma bomb was another very interesting time for us. Mickey Hart's daughter, Michaela, getting murdered. Those were all very interesting times, and yeah. And whenever the new Bishop of Derry was elected, he was the Bishop Edward Daly. Um, um, we were told that he was going to pay us a visit. He was doing his rounds in the town, and he was invited to come into the Herald, but there was a lot of men down through the works, and they had calendars, pin-up girls, you name it.
Okay.
So that was fine. Whenever we come in on a Monday morning, all that regalia was just literally stuck at the walls.
Right.
So obviously, Mrs. Lynch, God rest her, and got somebody to come in and leave the place respectable. Mm-hmm.
So would you remember roughly when that would have been, that visit?
That visit, possibly middle 70s again, I would say, but the middle 70s, off the top of my head.
Yeah. And I'm sure there were, nights, where you would have had to stay up late. Like,
yes.
Was it late nights?
Late nights. Yeah, well, late nights.
Was that like, would it have been every week, the late nights?
Yeah. Yeah, well, there was they finished up, those 7 titles had to be done.
Yeah.
And in those titles were what they call inserts, etc., and sections pre-printed and having to be fed in by various collating machines. And wherever you have a lot of moving parts, Jonathan, there's always bother.
Yeah.
Of some sort. So I generally looked after that. And if you had a breakdown at night, you had to have the paper on the shelf the next morning at all costs, or nearly that anyway, because if it wasn't, the next thing there would be a phone call down to see what was happening. So it did. There was times, Jonathan, I could have been going to bed at 4 o'clock in the morning and back in for maybe 8 again, so you only got a couple of hours sleep. Oh, wow. And it wasn't clean work either. It was actually quite dirty work, grazing, lying on floors, what have you, doing repairs, roller trains, etc. It wasn't clean work. But I would have to say that whenever we finished up on a Thursday evening, there was a certain degree of satisfaction to it all as well, that you had achieved your goal.
Yeah.
And listen, the Herald were a great company to work for. Despite the ups and downs of the place, they were a great company to work for. The Lynches themselves were a very nice family, so they were, and sympathetic. If it was reasonable, they were sympathetic, because sometimes Austin was the director then. He had his office up the stairs here, and
that would have been Austin Senior,
Austin Junior's father.
Oh, yeah,
that's who it was. And if there was a crisis, sometimes Austin wasn't maybe that happy about confronting it or wanting you coming with maybe a problem. And but there was one occasion that I wasn't going with a problem to him. It was up to speak to him to see would he go and maybe pick a piano for my daughter.
Okay.
So anyway, I went in and he spoke to me, and I told him the gist of the story. Well, Jonathan, he just lit up. it just lit up. It was up his street, you see.
Yeah.
And it was an aunt of mine wanted to buy a piano for my eldest girl Amanda for the house. We moved into our house in 1986, and it was a nice piece of furniture as well. So Myler's piano shop or music shop was down the Foundry Lane here, and I told Austin the story anyway, and he asked me how much did I want to spend, etc., etc. A great pianist himself, so he was. So however, after a month, Austin came down to me as opposed to me having to come to him, down into where the press hall was, and come over to me. He says, Joe, I have a piano picked for you. And I went down then to Richard Myler, and Richard Myler says to me, you certainly sent the right man down, because he went through them all, as we did. So,
Oh, wow. Okay.
and I still have that piano in the house. Yeah.
And Joe, I should have probably checked this before. Right? What was your title, or did you have a title, or what would people refer to you as?
In later years, I became press manager, because in the millennium year 2000, now that was very eventful, moving the press from here to Galtrush Industrial Estate, and whenever the last paper, which was the Derry People Donegal News then, was printed here. On the Thursday evening, there was a couple of English engineers standing waiting to break away the concrete footprints and that from round the base of the machines. And the agreement was that the folder and two of the units would have to be up and running for the following week to get a paper of sorts out to the readership, you see. But oddly enough, the press running down below us here, the characteristics seemed to change somewhat, whether it was to do with the moving, the levelling of the machines and what have you, and it caused all sorts of headaches. And you know yourself, Jonathan, whenever you're in a routine in a place, you know where to put your hand on something. That all suddenly changed as well for me. So there was plenty of, I would safely say, out of the 24 hours in a day, I could have spent 20 hours working between here and they getting the thing up and running in the industrial estate. And as I say, that was a very eventful time. But you see, there was a change taking place then, Jonathan. Before we left here, printing here, spot colour was introduced.
That
was a big thing. That was a very big thing. So, I mean, a unit had to be synchronized with another unit so that whenever the spot colour came round to the actual black printing press, that it had to be timed so that you could run it at high speed. Now, as I said earlier, the Cosser press that was initially here, the twin Cosser, 2,000 an hour, we were changing to a press that was 20,000 an hour. Yeah. So that's where the big changes took place. So it did. So then we moved in the millennium year out of here to the industrial estate, and of course full colour was introduced then, and we
so it would have been
2001 we got what they call a UOP then, which was bought second hand from an outfit in England called Graphitech, and it had to come out of Kuwait or somewhere out there, or maybe Gaza or some peculiar place like that. But it was supposed to arrive at a certain date. It didn't. So I think there had to be a few pounds put in a brown envelope and give to someone to let it move this way. So that was bought second hand, and that allowed us to put colour on the front page. The front page and the back page only, so it was. And then the the first tower was introduced. I would say maybe around about 2004. And now that was a big change because you had four actual printing presses, one on the top of the other, and the ink layout was what they call CMYK.
Yes.
There's cyan, magenta, yellow, and then black was the K. And that was a big move for us as well.
So when did the paper become full colour? Would it be?
I would say around about 2004 or so was the first introduction of full. Well, no, I'm telling you, like full color would have been introduced whenever we got up and running in the millennium year, but only in the front page and the back page. But then page 3 and 4 and the corresponding pages on the far side were full color then. And then they got in a second tour as well. So it was a pretty big operation back then.
Yeah.
We used to have schools coming in from time to time. They would organise and let us know whenever they were coming. And listen, the children were absolutely flabbergasted because they couldn't understand how paper wouldn't tear running at high speed.
Okay.
Yeah, because everything, the press itself, it had to be to the last thou in precision, you say. And oddly enough, if you pull the paper straight, it takes a fair tension at the same time. Yeah. So, listen, and then, of course, that had to stop because they weren't allowed to come in because of health and safety issues.
Okay.
We had to then put yellow lines on the floors and what have you.
It seems to be linked with the health and safety.
Health and safety.
Yeah.
They had my head turned, no fault to them, because, you know, in the heat of the moment at night, sorry.
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, no joke.
Hello, Michael.
Hi, Stephen.
Very well, Michael.
I'm just taking a late down here.
Okay.
When are these are ready, I'll be down at the machine.
I will not be long.
That's all right.
10 minutes.
But you know, Jonathan, health and safety, yeah, it was very important. But at times it was out the door in the heat of the moment. At night. You know, you'd be supposed to stop the press, and the guards on the press, they were all interlocked, so that if you pulled back a guard, things stopped. You couldn't, but sometimes I overrid those things so that whenever I dropped back the guard, the press wouldn't stop because I knew what I was doing, but may not have been safe, but it meant that the press kept moving. That was very important.
And Joe, I have to ask you this, was there ever a time where the paper didn't go out for whatever reason, or can you recall a moment or where it looked like it was touch and go?
Oh, well, there was moments like that, definitely at times, but generally speaking, we got it out.
Yeah.
We got it out. Now, there was one occasion after I left that it had to be done out of somewhere in Belfast, Irish News, that it had to be done after I had left. Something happened, a motor heated up or something.
Yeah.
But no, during my time here, I can't recall ever having to be done out of house, as you would call it. No. It was always pretty much, we got it there. We got there.
And, I think, readers kind of see the finished newspaper, but they don't really think about how much work goes into producing it.
No.
What do you think would surprise people most about the whole printing process?
Say that again, Jonathan.
What do you think would surprise people the most about the whole printing process? Or, is it just the intricacies of everything?
Yeah. I mean, it was hard for them to envisage how that image got onto paper, you see. And it was really very simple. I mean, that image was coming off a plate only 30 thou thick, and it was a photographic process. And I mean, that plate was, there was two bends put at either end of it, and it was clipped onto the cylinders of the press. And you had water, um, which water and ink process. One wouldn't work without the other. But whenever people come to visit the place, they couldn't understand how this technique, as they
Yeah.
called it, worked. But it was, yeah, generally speaking,